Thanks for staying with us. I'm Bill O'Reilly. In a Weekdays with Bernie segment tonight, we asked the Fox News media analyst, take a look at how the Beck rally was covered by the major press outlets. One thing that struck me was that CNN bannered the rally a conservative situation. Now, when was the last time you ever saw CNN label a story liberal? I don't think it's ever happened. The New York Times buried the Beck coverage on page 15, but the Washington Post did have it on page 1. Joining us now from North Carolina, the purveyor of BernardGoldberg.com, Mr. Goldberg. So, I'm going to let you just roam here. Do you think the rally was covered fairly in general?
There are a couple of things that bothered me. And before I tell you what they were, let me very, very, very briefly say that I think Glenn Beck brings some of this on himself with some of the things he has said in the past, apologies or no apologies. I think he brings some of this on himself. Okay, one thing that bothered me is what you just mentioned. CNN describes this as a conservative rally. It was. They are factually correct. But you're right. They don't label environmentalist rallies as liberal rallies or anti-war rallies as liberal rallies or feminist rallies as liberal rallies. And that's a very important point about labeling. I've called it Exhibit A to prove media bias.
But there's more to it, Bernie. I'm sorry to interrupt, but there's more to it. This was a non-political rally. They put a political term on it. See, you're right. Most of the people there are traditional/conservative Americans. But it wasn't billed for that political purpose. It was billed for a spiritual revival, almost like an Elmer Gantry type. Remember him?
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So CNN wasn't accurate. They deceived their audience by putting it up as a conservative is a political term. Go.
They were accurate in that it was overwhelmingly populated by conservatives. They were accurate in that sense. But I'm not defending that. What I'm saying is, when you give labels to conservatives, but not to liberal rallies, what you're doing is you're putting a warning label on your news story. And it's similar to the warning label on a pack of cigarettes that says smoking may cause cancer. This warning label says, look out, there are a bunch of conservatives there. You have to pay attention. And the reason liberal journalists do that is because they see these conservative views, whether they were at this rally or not, as alien, as out of the mainstream. But liberal rallies, you're right, they don't label those. The reason they don't is because they see them as mainstream. They see them as middle of the road. Everything to the right of center is right wing as far as the liberal media is concerned. Everything to the left of center is middle of the road as far as they're concerned.
Did you see any condescension on the part of the Washington Post, New York Times, NBC or CBS News the night the Beck rally was happened, because ABC was preempted by baseball, Little League Baseball or something? All right. Did you see any condescension, any derision in the hard news coverage?
Nothing that jumped out at me, but I did see in the New York Times, you're right, they put it on page 15. They said there were tens of thousands of people when
there were hundreds of thousands.
NBC News, which is no right-wing sympathizer organization, said there were 300,000. And they did one other thing. They said it was populated overwhelmingly by white people. Again, they are technically, journalistically, factually correct. But anti-war rallies and feminist rallies and environmental rallies are overwhelmingly populated by. So why do they do that?
Right.
Because there's something about these people that they find that there's something suspicious about them, something that they don't feel comfortable about. So they say, oh, by the way, they were overwhelmingly white.
They're white people.
As if that's a bad thing.
White conservative people.
Yeah,
white conservative people who have jobs. We hate them.
Yeah, right.
All right. You have a column, new column on immediate coverage of the mosque controversy, which never seems to end. What's the main point? You go to BernardGoldberg.com and read it. What's the main point?
I think this is a real interesting point. In 1994, Peter Jennings, right after the Republicans took over both houses of Congress for the first time since 1950, Peter Jennings of ABC went on the radio, delivered a commentary calling the voters saying the voters threw a temper tantrum. His words, threw a temper tantrum. Said they were behaving like 2-year-olds. Well, obviously, the voters really weren't throwing a temper tantrum. Peter Jennings, may he rest in peace, is the one who was throwing a temper tantrum. What did the voters do? They only voted for Republicans over Democrats. Now, Bill, we're seeing it all over again. But this time it's happening before the election because liberal journalists see the tsunami that's coming and they don't like it. So they're calling, and on the website I give chapter and verse. You're a bigot,
Sure.
You're uninformed, you're stupid, you're un-American if you oppose the mosque. Or if you oppose immigration, you're against Latinos.
It's the same old thing. No, I think that's interesting that they're angry.
They've become unhinged.
Right,
they've become unhinged, and they're doing it before the election this time, as opposed to '94 when they did it after the election.
Bernie Goldberg, everybody, check out his website, Reality Check on Deck tonight. What the folks who attended the rally actually said about it. And Pinheads and Patriots will feature Taylor Swift and David Letterman. Coming right back. The back of the book segment tonight, Reality Check, where the truth sometimes hurts. Check 1. We would be remiss this evening if we did not have some of the folks who attended Beck's rally weigh in on it.
We gotta ask our Heavenly Father for a change of our heart.
I believe that our country should be putting God first once more.
Hopefully, this will be a call to restore the historical values in our nation.
We got to stop spending. We got to get some morals, ethics back.
We must rebuild our minds and rebuild our spirits.
Is America not an honorable place right now?
Sure, certainly it is in many aspects, but in many aspects it's not.
I believe in our Constitution, and this administration doesn't.
I cannot disagree with our president more. I believe he's leading this country in the wrong direction.
Again, Check believes everyone who attended that rally should be very proud of themselves. Check 2. The mosque controversy still bedeviling President Obama. Here's his latest on the issue.
How can you say to them that somehow their religious faith is less worthy of respect under our Constitution, our system of government? That's something that I feel very strongly about. I respect the feelings on the other side, and I would defend their right to express them just as fiercely.
Now, Check does not disagree with that statement, but that's not what the issue is all about. And the president should know it by now. What's the wisdom of the mosque decision, Mr. President? That's the question you have not answered. The wisdom. Check 3. The liberal media is still trying to stop the bleeding on the mosque Muslim issue. Listen to this.
Is it based on the fact that we have an African-American president? If we had a president like Hillary Clinton right now, would we have the same level of apocalyptic talk by people like Glenn Beck, the same attitude towards this mosque, which is a couple blocks away from the World Trade Center on a row of buildings?
First of all, we have a mixed-race president who has the middle name Hussein. And a good part of the anxiety that's going on in small-town white America isn't just the plain old black and white stuff of the past. It's the fact that South Asians are moving in and running the local motel, or, I don't want to deal in those sorts of cliches, that there are a lot of Latinos who are moving into these areas, that their grandchildren are coming out as gay or intermarrying. The purity of the ethnic purity, to coin a phrase, that they grew up with no longer exists.
The ethnic purity. In a word, absurd. Check 4. Paris Hilton busted for cocaine possession in Vegas. 29-year-old was stopped by cops. Apparently she reached into a purse and a bag of coke fell out. Ms. Hilton says the purse was not hers, but also admits the other items inside the purse are hers. Sounds like a Blago defense. Check 5. And on that subject, here are the results of the latest BillO'Reilly.com poll. We asked, should the Blago case be retried? About 25,000 of you voted, big turnout. 54% say yes, he should be retried because he's a crook. 46% believe the former Illinois governor should be spared another exposition. Thanks to all who voted. And that is Reality Check. Pinheads and Patriots on deck. David Letterman and Brian Williams in the zone. Right back with P&P. Pinheads and Patriots in a moment. David Letterman takes a few shots at Jay Leno. But first, I would like to thank all of you who have bought stuff on BillO'Reilly.com this summer. We just sent the Jimmy Fund, which fights cancer in kids, a nice check for the telethon the Boston Red Sox put together a few days ago. As you may know, we have marked down all of our great stuff on BillO'Reilly.com this summer so you can stock up for fall and winter gift giving. So please check that out. Also, Lise Wheel, the subject of our exclusive interviews for premium members this week, so we hope you check out that program as well. Finally, my new book, Pinheads and Patriots, Your Place in the Age of Obama, out in 2 weeks, September 14th. You can pre-order on BillO'Reilly.com, Amazon.com, BarnesandNoble.com, or Borders.com. Lots of .coms going on. Now, the Mail, John Reed, Dublin, Ireland. The slander being delivered by the far left on the controversial issues is predictable. They label people bigots too easily. Because that is a cheap way to denigrate, I should say, the opposition, John. And it's impossible to defend against. Bigotry is subjective. And anyone trying to convince an enemy that he or she is not a bigot is going to lose. The disturbing thing here is that many people accept this kind of garbage. Why is Howard Dean still taken seriously in some quarters when he uses smear tactics all the time? Why does NBC News allow that? It's very troubling. Thanks for your letter. Glenn Bacon, Nangru, Thailand. How is it that the left continues to harangue the Tea Party because a few nutcases were on display when they then turn around and say we should not condemn Islam because of a few nutcases? Wow. Excellent point, Glenn. Signed copy of Bold Fresh on the way. Enjoy it. Crystal Morris, Mesa, Arizona. My husband always watches The Factor, but I resisted for many years. Now I'm hooked. You are better than The View, O'Reilly. Is that the bar now, Crystal? Is that what this has come to? We're better than The View. By the way, I hope to be visiting the ladies while promoting Pinheads and Patriots in the fall. That's always fun. A 90-year-old Mary Wesco, who lives in Endicott, New York, wrote a verse for us. Talking points on The Factor is a must for me. It's O'Reilly at his best, you see. The world waits for him to opine, but the best is that his views are mine. Whoa, way to go, Mary. Bold Fresh on the way to you as well. I hope you enjoy it. And finally tonight, Pinheads and Patriots, we continue to be very impressed by the young singer, Taylor Swift, who's an excellent role model for American girls and is very generous with her money. Recently, Miss Swift gave her hometown, Hendersonville, Tennessee, $100,000 to build a playground, replacing the old one destroyed by floods earlier this year. Miss Swift does this kind of thing all the time, and she's a patriot. On the Pinhead front, NBC News anchor Brian Williams appeared on David Letterman last week.
You probably go on that Jay Leno show, don't you?
I do. We have a robust slate of evening programming.
Yeah. But I don't like it when you go on that show.
Could you? It's funny because he doesn't like it when I come here. Dave,
could you not go on that show?
And now you're sounding like him.
Yeah, why do you have to go on that show? I mean, you and I have a symbiotic kind of a thing going here, whereas you and Jay are just, hey, how you going?
I think Letterman and I have that symbiotic thing, too. And no, maybe not. Is there a pinhead component in all that? Well, you can make the call on it. And that is it for us tonight. Please check out the Fox News Factor website, which is different from BillO'Reilly.com. If you came in late, we have Talking Points memo on Beck's rally in D.C. I think you're going to want to see that. Also, we would like you to spout off about the Factor this evening from anywhere in the world. O'Reilly at FoxNews.com. O'Reilly at FoxNews.com. Name in town if you wish to opine. And here is the word of the day. Do not be meretricious. Ooh, when writing to the Factor. Do not be meretricious. An excellent word. Again, thank you for watching us tonight. I am Bill O'Reilly, and please remember, the spin stops right here, because we are definitely looking out for you.